it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened, as I said it would. People will be... Oh, when have we got Leeds? God, not quite a new intro yet, folks. All right, now then, people. We're working on it, though. That's the first half of the intro, yeah? 30 seconds. It's now changed to a minute, but there's a second half of the intro, which is going to be great, by the way. So just watch this space, yeah? We like to change it up every year. That one's old now, in with the new, yeah? Please do smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, hit that notification bell. Darren Clark says twice, hi Joe, 3 lives in 1 day, hardest working Leeds United content creator. I'm already over Sunday and looking forward to next season. Ups and downs from Dublin, marching on together. Thank you very much, Darren. Early bird gets the first worm or whatever it is, and yeah, hard work pays off and all that jazz. We will be here. We will be here. I'm tired, boss. Tired of all the anti-Farkers, says Vic. Listen, there can be no more now, right? It's done. Parag's spoken. The manager's here. Just get on board. You know, I've been getting really frustrated with it as well. Like, even still people complaining about this 90 points haul and saying, oh, yeah, we won the 90-point trophy. Here's the fact. Before I bring people in, here's the factual information for you, right? 90 points last season, okay, if you get 90 points, you wouldn't have gone up, right? The anomaly is the fact that 3 teams got 90 points. That's the anomaly. If we get 90 points, the majority of the time, there's only 2 teams in the history of the championship that have got 90 points and not gone up, and that's Leeds United and Sunderland. Outside of that, everyone else goes up, right? We don't need a trophy for it, but to say it's not a success is wild. Is wild. You know, we went unbeaten for 3 months. You know, we won 13 on the spin during that time, kept the most clean sheets, etc., etc., etc. We don't need to do this anymore. But here tonight, we're going to be talking about Parag's interview. We're going to be talking about the fact that loan clauses have now ended for a lot of them. There's only 2 players, I believe, that are still allowed to go out on loan, and that's Jack Harrison and Mark Roca, I think. We'll get that confirmed by the amazing guests tonight. So we're going to be chatting about whether or not these loanees deserve a second chance, because some of them might not get moved on because they've had poor loan spells. Yeah, we'll talk about that. And then we'll finish with maybe a look ahead to what's on the horizon. If you've been living under a rock, there's some stuff about a certain energy drink potentially getting involved at Leeds United. So we'll save that till the end. But without further ado, let's bring in my fantastic, I was going to say assistants there, but that's out of order. They're all amazing in their own right? They're no one's assistant. We've got Luke with the best tash in the world, I think. Ever. You did say off air that you would keep that until we were promoted, I believe. So we're expecting down here. How you doing, mate? All good?
Yes, yeah, not too bad, mate. Yes, just about recovered from Sunday night, Monday morning. Yeah, back to normality. Yeah, a bit of a drop off the edge of the world, but yeah, absolutely fine, doing all right.
There you go. Usyk. I bet you've had worse shouts, haven't you? To be fair,
the amount of times I had to do that. I am very feel on Sunday. You would not believe, man. Honestly, I just got tired of it in the end. Even Vinnie Jones asked me to do it.
Mate, that photo is mint, by the way. Like, when I seen you with that photo, I thought, you've completed photos now. Like, that's brilliant, man. He looks cool as, you look cool as. I thought, yeah, it's a good photo, that. I'd have it framed, mate, blown up and have it on in front of mantelpiece. Me and Big Vin. Lockie, how are you, mate?
Good.
Yeah,
short,
feeling better
as usual. Yep.
Yeah, good. I like that little yay. And let's bring in Jer. Yeah, no, it's all good. Jer, how are you?
Good, man. Good.
Will you grow a tash? Would you grow a tash like Luke?
Well, apparently I already look like Tyson Fury, so me and Luke can just have it out in the parking lot and get this sorted, Luke. Get this sorted.
Only one winner.
Yeah, I'd back one man. Unfortunately, Joe, I'm sorry. I'm taking Luke.
I'd back him as well.
I'm taking Luke. Right, okay. Let's go back to Luke before we go any further. Just because me and Joe and Lockie on this channel anyway have spoke about the game. I did see Luke's thoughts yesterday on Ought to Know Better. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you go check it out. But let's just hear it for the viewers on here. Luke, you were at the game. How was it? how disappointed were you, and where's your head at now, mate?
Yeah, great day out, as to be expected. Leeds took over London. Absolutely fantastic. Leeds fans in great voice everywhere you went. You know, everything you expected it to be. Reminded me very much of 2008 in the Donny League One playoff. Obviously a little bit younger then. But yeah, everything I expected. Fantastic day out. The game itself, you know, I have to be honest. I was very, very drunk by the time the kickoff came round. But I do remember, and I've watched back highlights, and the memories I've got from being in there do sort of align quite well with what I've seen back in highlights. I thought on the day the best team lost that game, and I still think that you know. The chances that we had, and we just seemed to control it. We had the momentum quite a lot of the time as well. So I still think the best team lost on the day. But look, they're the ones in the Premier League, and we can sit here and cry over spilt milk as much as we want. It's not going to change anything. We've got to prepare for another season in the Championship, and I think that's where my head is now. I'm over it. You know, I had a bit of a to-do with loads of Saints fans this afternoon because they'd kept loads of receipts on me on Twitter, and they just keep coming randomly, just like with some absolute wobble that I'd spoken throughout the season, which is fair play to them. But look, I in the end, I just said, look, I'm over it now, guys. You know, go and enjoy the Premier League and everything that's going to bring you, because we're in a good position, despite being in the Championship, which sounds mad, but we're not in, you know, we're not in a position where, you know, we look back all those years ago when we dropped through the leagues and things. I don't ever expect anything like that to happen. So yeah, really, really strong position financially, and we seem to have a good team of people at the club at the moment that actually do understand how to run a football club, but also genuinely want the best for the club.
Yeah. I think, you know, the mad thing is, and just to get your thoughts, Joe, as well, and if you agree with this, but I think as a fan base, had this when it happened under Bielsa, for example, we were all like so on the floor. It almost hurt more because it was like, can we come back from this? But under this manager, under this ownership, under the everything that stands from the top of the club to the bottom, and the playing personnel, because even under Bielsa, that playing personnel weren't great. It weren't great. I just look at it now, and I think the reason we're all so calm and cool about it is because we know that when the season starts on August the 10th, whenever it is, we're going to be ready again, because this team, this squad, this club, with this ownership, is primed to just get straight, go again. Do you know what I mean? That's why I'm so cool about it.
I think we've gotten over it quicker as well.
Yeah.
I think, to your point, when we lost to that, there was all the Spygate stuff, and there was the Frank Lampard stuff, and then there was the very literal crap in the dressing room stuff that went on after the game as well. There was a lot of other baggage with that game, and the fact that it was a semi-final, and the fact that we looked so comfortable going into the second leg, and it was just miles worse. There was so much that was bad about it as well. I was only happy that we didn't celebrate the semi-final win against Norwich the way that they celebrated the semi-final win against us, as if you'd already won it, you know. And because you look very silly in the final when you don't win it then, like we did. But I got over much quicker. It's like, yeah, fine. This was always a possibility. There was always that bit in the back of your head throughout the season. Even when we were top with teams had games in hands. We were never top when we were all level on the same amount of points and goals and everything else. There was always a possibility that could be taken away from you if things didn't go your way. We were always still banking on favours, and then when we did have it in our hands, we just ran out of steam a little bit. The injuries at the international break and all that affected it. So I know people keep using the word excuses. I don't use excuses for this. People say, you can't have any excuses. You can. You can have excuses, because sometimes there's a genuine excuse for things. And, you know, if you take 2 wins in the first month at the start of the season, if things had been sorted out earlier, you're up. You know, job done. So for me, in this situation right now, having listened to the interviews today, everything, and the way people the full thing out at length, which was great to hear the full thing. All the ducks in a row. The management team is in place, which wasn't in place for most of August, September. The recruitment team has been in place, and not only have they been, and he said in his interview, we're 5 weeks ahead of where we were this time last year. And in my news this morning, I said I would argue he's a year ahead of where he was this time last year, because He has a full understanding of the club as an owner. He has a full understanding of the running operations of the club. He has a full understanding of all of the contract situations of the players that are there and what's come in, credit card bill, everything else. His eyes are wide open to everything right now. There's no new surprises this summer. So, and he has people he can delegate the work to. So for me, I'm a lot calmer straight away with that. You know, you look at the stick that Orta's getting in Seville at the moment, you know, and you realise that having a team of people, having a team of qualified people in place to do the job, which if you go back to the if you go back to the podcast that started the year that Murate did, and he said that he's the kind of owner who wants to hire the best people to do the best jobs. And now you look at it in hindsight and you go, yeah, that's a pretty good resume of people that are in there right now. It's a pretty good list. So I'm much calmer going into this. I'm confident that there's money there to buy players that we need to. I'm happy enough with the players that we're probably going to lose. Not overly happy about some of the stuff we're going to talk about tonight, but but again, I'm sure he's got a plan in place for that. I'm much calmer about the whole situation because I think Luke might have said this on one of his podcasts during the week, or you might have said it this morning as well. Everything in the club is just calm and quiet. And that's a good foundation for anything good to come from. Where this time last year, everything was on fire.
100%. Yeah, I agree with you. But you've hit so many nails on the head. Before I come to you, Lucky, Abdullah Al-Fuzan, big up to you. Abdullah says, hello everyone, still can't get over Wembley. Just can't wait for next season to start to forget about Wembley. But anyways, what a day it was. Our fan base is a really special one. I attended many games in many countries. Nothing comes close. Big up to you, mate. Have you spoken to Sammy Smodics anymore? Have you have you spoke to him? Is he coming to Leeds? Let us know, mate. I know you're in the same apartment block as him. Lockie, get it done. Yeah, we would obviously. Joe just touched on it there. Parag's interview, loads in it. What impressed you most from it? Obviously, he spoke about Farker, and Joe touched on them points about, you know, he's staying. We know that. That's good. You know, let's start with that, actually. Start with his thoughts on Farker and why it didn't go right in terms of, look, it took us 12 days to appoint him, and then when we got him in, the season was upon us kind of vibe. So positive that he's getting the full backing, I think.
Yeah, even people that want him out, which is fair enough, whatever, like, you can't deny that the first, 2 months were a complete mess. Even when he came in, which I believe he came in when everyone was scheduled to come in for pre-season. I believe it was around then. So you don't even prepared pre-season. Like everything, like Parag said, was weeks behind. And you look at teams like Southampton, who got relegated. I think it was a few weeks before us in the Prem. So they've already prepared then. We had to wait till the last day. And then we had to wait for the ownership stuff. Then get the manager. And then wait till we could sign players. It was crazy. And then we had the guys wanting to leave on the last day. So it was mental. It was a mess. And for me, the biggest thing, Joe, is the continuity of it all now. We know, unless, well, it's Leeds, we never know, but we are very confident that we've got the ownership. We're kind of confident we know who might go. I don't think there'll be any real crazy surprises on who will go. I think we know who will leave. I think we know from what Parag said that we are going to spend on what we need to strengthen. That is clear. We're going to be confident in what we do. I hope there's 1 or 2 in there that make us go, wow, you know, as well as the important squad players we need, 1 or 2 that are a real statement of the league. And it's all the whole continuity. Like the guy said, there's a calmness around it all. There's a security of it. I don't feel like we're panicking. We need a rush. Everything's good. Everything's in fine. And when a manager has a platform of 90 points, from an ownership perspective, you're looking at that as a season of 46 games going, we got 27 wins. And considering the start and then the crazy run we went on, you know, you've got to look at it as a whole and think it's very successful. Like I said the other day, Joe, if we'd have been on maybe 70 points or maybe even early 80 points, I think there'd have been more questions. But it, like Joe said, it's come down to 2 games, really. And you look at the start of the season and the way in which we finished it, and it's just 1 or 2 wins in there. It's nothing major. It's not a major rebuild that's needed in terms of the manager and what we need to do. It's just getting rid of the players that don't want to be here and who deserve Premier League moves, and then getting the right players in. It's all very calm and quite nice for a pre-season. When was the last time it was calm pre-season? That's
what I mean, and that's what's giving me so much confidence going into it. Luke, obviously, go on. What are you laughing at?
Just, you know, an invasive thought pops into your head. I'm like, we're all saying, that's all real quiet and calm right now, and that's what's giving me comfort. Give it 6 weeks. If it's still kept quiet again, we're like, it's too quiet. It's too quiet. I can't handle how quiet it is. I'm getting nervous. Like,
yeah, that's a very good point, mate. Because oh my god, I mean, last summer was brutal, wasn't it? I was throwing all sorts of shade at the 49ers and everything. So
we were doing a stream at 12:30 at night, waiting for transfers.
yeah, it was mad. It was mad.
you tried doing a daily news show and there's no leaks coming out of the club anymore. Like, oh, backed the wrong horse here, didn't I?
That will be. That's one thing I said. I said before, like as a content creator, I'd argue we're going to be busier staying in the Championship than out of it because we're going to get rid of a load of players and bring a load in. Whereas in the Premier League, you keep a load and just bring in. Does that make sense? Whereas now it'll be like outgoings and incomings. Obviously, Luke, he spoke on transfers as well. And there was discussion around Archie Gray because naturally we all know and understand probably going to lose Somerville, probably going to lose Nonto. That's a given, right? Maybe even bids for some others, right? But the big one, and there's a reason why the journalist probably posed Archie Gray to him because they know he's a high-ticket item, but also a player that has so much potential, generational, some would say, and of course he's Leeds through and through. So as a fan base, we're like, just keep Archie. What were your thoughts on what he said about that Archie situation? Because a lot of people are reading into it, oh, he's trying to sell him, and I'm like, I don't think he's saying that. He's just saying I can't give any.
No, I think he was quite pragmatic in his approach and the way he handled that question, to be fair, because he could have quite easily said, we're not selling Archie, then if we have to sell Archie or a £60 million bid comes in for Archie, and you can't turn that sort of money down. So I think it was quite a sensible answer. I think they probably, I mean, nobody wants to sell Archie. Nobody wanted to sell Calvin, but that's because of the actual connection to Leeds. I mean, they are both fantastic players and Calvin was a fantastic player before he obviously went over and ruined his career with Pep so far. But I think that's as Leeds fans, it's something we're proud of. We're proud to be Leeds, and having somebody coming through the ranks and through the academy and everything, it's that additional love you've got for that player naturally, and the fact that they're arguably the best player in the team to boot. It's a lot to let go. I think one of the things that really stood out for me with the chat with Parag around potential transfers was the no stone's going to be left unturned, and we want the best players with the best mentalities. And he mentioned sometimes you've got to sacrifice a bit. He didn't say these words exactly, but sacrifice a little bit of somebody who's got a bit of flair and can win you a game for somebody who's got the right level of mentality and can come in and play 90 minutes week in, week out.
We're talking James and Somerville, aren't we? Like, if you look at it,
yeah, absolutely.
Parts was the term, wasn't it?
Some of the
parts.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he went on to say something about it's not his club, it's the community's club. And now you look at that, and it's chalk and cheese to what Andre, the previous owners, it's my club. This is my club. I love this club, and it was quite the opposite. It's the community's club. He's just asking for a little bit of leeway to trust the process, pretty much. Just trust that they know what they're going to do within this transfer market to give it the best opportunities and the best potential to actually get back into the Premier League. And just going back to your initial question about Archie, I don't think in any way he's put him in the shop window there. I think quite the opposite.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, mate.
That community thing is interesting because, again, you go back to this time last year when Radrizzani was being asked questions around who owned Elland Road and what the situation was with Elland Road. And he said, don't tell me what to do with my assets. It's my club. I'll do what I want with it. And then to your point there, Murate saying it's a community club. It's chalk and cheese, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is for sure. A couple of super chats before we move on. Abdul Al Fuzan says he's working on it. I'll keep you updated if I know anything with regards to Sammy Schmodix. David Lund says best of season. Mateo Joseph 2 goals versus Chelsea. Yum. Still looking forward to Bam Bam holding up the ball next season in a 4-2-3-1. And he goes on to say, don't underestimate teams. It won't be easy next season. I see Luton being strong and Burnley and Portsmouth. See, I disagree completely, David. I'm not saying Luton won't be strong and Burnley won't be strong. They've got to get a manager through the door first. But I think in terms of the Championship, it's nowhere comparable to what we experienced last year. I think, that's just my opinion, though. It may massively.
I do think, Joe. A lot of it will depend on who they keep. To be honest with you, Leicester kept some good players that probably shouldn't have played there. Same for Southampton. Same for probably us. can they afford to do that? That's the question. I think Sheffield United has some. Look, Hamer, Berge, just two of them I can think of. Like, they're good players at this. Let's be honest here. They were probably the best players in the league when they were here the other year. So they're still there right now. Will they keep them? That's the question, I think. And obviously, but they're a basket case, aren't they, at the moment? But in terms of personnel, I do think Burnley still have a decent young squad full of potential. So, I agree. I don't think they're as strong as Leicester, Southampton, or even us. But I do, it will be difficult. Like, we have to recruit well. There's no doubt about it. We have to get.
Do you think it's stronger or weaker than last year, though?
I think weaker overall, just based on the fact Hull won't be as good, in my opinion. Cov will be similar. I don't think there's a team like Ipswich. Portsmouth, I believe, will be competitive, and I think they will get top 10 definitely, because again, the continuity from they smoked the league last year. But I think we are the strongest team in there.
Yeah,
and I think just above the others who come down, but that will depend on recruitment. That might change.
Okay. Sean Healy says, happy 40 months, Joe. I sent you a super chat about at Wembley. If we got bigger stadium, we would lose the atmosphere against Norwich, for example, West Ham. No, but if you look at Wembley, it's a new stadium. West Ham is a new stadium that was built for the Olympics. Ellen Road's just going to be added on. So I wouldn't be worried about that much. Sorry for missing the super chat.
You know what that is what they said about it. They said that the number one consideration with the stadium development is retaining the atmosphere. And if you look at what Spurs did when they built theirs, it does look like a toilet seat. But one of the biggest things that they went for was the atmosphere, and they've that single tier stand behind the goal for their ultras or whatever you want to call them down there. But that's a huge part of it. Like that'll be a huge thing. Wembley's very open and miles away. Arsenal was the same when they did the Emirates, just too far away from the pitch. I think if you look at a lot of the newer kind of stadiums that are being built, they're being much higher and more tighter to the pitch. So it depends on how they build it. Sorry, Luke.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I'm not sure whether sorry, I've lost the comment now. I've forgotten who it was, but whether Sean, whether you or not you were there at Wembley, but actually inside the stadium didn't feel too bad. It took a while for chants and stuff to carry, but actually in the Leeds end, it was quite raucous. It was quite loud. I mean, I assume on television, it probably didn't come across that way.
Didn't, mate. Do you know what? If anything, and it's first time I'm saying it because you don't want to upset people, but Southampton came across so much more on the TV than what Leeds United did.
Over and over again,
yeah.
See, that wasn't the case in the stadium. It's just mad.
Yeah, I think Dan Moylan said though, didn't he? I think a lot of it is due to the fact they sing that same chant over and over. Oh, when they're sick, so everyone could get on board. Whereas at Wembley, a patch would start over here and it don't carry enough to get round to the other side because it's stopped by the time it gets there.
Yeah, fair point.
That chant did carry because it's slow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I preferred Ellen Road.
Obviously. A lot of people said that.
It's rocking, but I enjoyed it. It's an experience that I wanted to have in my life, and I had it. And
of course,
didn't get the result, but good times.
Yeah, of course, no. And I bet like before the match, after the match, it was just it was amazing.
Walking to the stadium, seeing all the Leeds fans was it was crazy, wasn't it?
It was an incredible day out. It was just a shame, obviously, about the result.
It was definitely. Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me if there was a bit of that going down as well, Dick. We know they do that. Yeah, that happens. Definitely. So it wouldn't surprise me if that was going down as well. The other bit which took me by surprise, I don't know about you folks, but the loan clauses. I assumed all the players that went out on loan all had the clauses indefinitely, which meant as long as
we were led to believe, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone who'd signed a new deal in the last 12 months.
Yeah. If we remained in the Championship, they were allowed to go out on loans. And then Parag says, we're in control. There isn't as many. And then the Athletic tell us there's two, Jack Harrison being one. And according to the YEP, and when you read reports, Mark Rocker's been basically talking to every journalist he can, saying, I can leave on loan. So that for me is the two. He bought a house
down there. He kind of has to push for a move away now. He's bought a house down there. He plans on staying. He's forcing this. But the other thing as well is, there was 8 last year went out with the clauses.
Yeah.
2 of them were sold mid loan, Sinister and Cock. That brings it down to 6. Of those 6 that we know that are out there, we know that Everton want Harrison on loan, Betis want Roca on loan, and then Gladbach would like Vober on loan, although there's competition for Vober because he had a good season. The 2 that no one seems to want are Aronson and Christensen. Then you've got your Rente in that mix as well, whatever happens with him. it's very possible there's a third one in there. Like we don't have as many as last year because we've sold two, and then there's just no one interest in your team. The big problem for Aronson and Christensen is going to be who's going to take their wages on, because they're not on small money; they're on big wages. And the deal is you can go if 100% your wages is covered, but I don't think anybody would even be interested in them. So to find out that it's only Aronson and Roca, they'll go straight away. Like they won't hang around.
Yeah, Harrison and Roca, yeah, will be good. But in terms of those that still that are going to return, obviously, there's Diego Llorente. Do we all think he'll be sold? He's not going to do a season in the Championship, is he, right? Yep. Llorente will go, probably for a cut price deal. You've got, who else is there?
Llorente, you've got Max Fober, you've got Brendan Aronson, you've got Jack Harrison, you've got...
That's it, yeah. So Max Fober, like you said, great season at Gladbach. He's going to the World Cup as well with Austria if he has a good World Cup. So I think we might see Gladbach try and push a deal through, if that's a permanent even. Try to get that done before the Euros, because if he has a good Euros, then obviously it could be open season and they might struggle to get him full time. But the two, like you rightly mentioned, Brendan and Rasmus, had stinkers really had stinkers. And I don't know if there will be many suitors out there. So... And chat, I want you to get involved. I'll put a poll in as well. Luke, I'll come to you first. Is there a way back for either of them? Let's try take emotion out of it. Like, because my emotion says to me straight away, fuck off. But I want us to have a look at pros and cons and try, take a step back and try take the Leeds emotion out and say, what pros can Rasmus give us if there are any? What pros? And then try weigh up on whether or not they deserve a shot. Go on, Joe, quickly before I go.
Sorry, the rules of this are ignore the fact they walked out in the club.
Yes, basically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's do that first and see if they've got enough in the green bank to say, do you know what, actually, they could add something.
Because someone has said in chat that I bet Jer wouldn't have them in the team he coaches. I wouldn't have them in a five-a-side team.
Well, come on, Luke. I'll come to you first of all. Should we do it one at a time, or do you want to just speak on them both?
I'll speak on them both, mate. I think it's very difficult, first of all, to try and remove that emotion from anything.
Yeah, of course,
I mean, no matter what, there's always going to be that unconscious bias. No matter how we're going to answer these questions, I should imagine, But do I think either of them or both of them could add something to a championship team? Absolutely. Rasmus Christensen played. I mean, he didn't play all that well for us very regularly, but when he did play well, he played well. Do you know what I mean? And arguably, we saw the best out of him when he played in centre midfield or centre back. So there's an argument there for even if he's not even if he wasn't coming as a start. I don't know what sort of wages he's on. If we could sell him, I imagine we probably will. But could he do a job at a top side in the Championship? He should be able to. He's been playing very rarely at the top level at Italy, but Jose must have seen something in him that he liked. And with regards to Aronson, similar sort of answer as well, really. And I'm saying this one through really gritted teeth, because I had really high hopes when Aronson joined, and when that one of those early performances against Chelsea when he played in sort of a bit of a right wing sort of central attacking midfield role for us. He was the best player on the field that day when we beat Chelsea 3-0. And I thought, great. And, the Aronson's chant started. He had his own chant within a few days. And
American Boy. It was a banger as well, wasn't it?
That's right. And I had really high hopes for him. And look, there's no denying that he's technically a good footballer, a gifted footballer, but he just needs to... I haven't watched a lot of him this season, but from the experience we had with him in the Premier League, sort of the second half of the season, or even after that Chelsea game, I don't remember him doing much. I think he might have had 2 or 3 half-decent performances for us, but he just needed to toughen up and get a bit more wise and when to release the ball, really. And if he could do both of those things, and they're easily coachable attributes, they're quite easily to be coached in. You just need to get a bit stronger, put your body in front of the ball, and then release it rather than try and take in 3 players on. So do I think both of them could add value to our squad next season based on their ability? The answer is yes. Would I have them back? Is a completely different answer.
Well, would you?
No.
Just from an emotional standpoint, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay,
and
that's
providing
fair.
we could get a good return on him as well. I think obviously it's got to make financial sense to the club.
There was a report a few weeks back that Leeds were willing to take a reduced price on Harrison. I think of around about 12 to 15 million just to get shot. So we are going to lose out on him. But listen, we know that because no one's going to pay 25 or more for him, are they? Let's be honest. Salzburg had our pants down, if we're being totally honest. Yeah. Okay. Cheers for that, Luke. Lockie, thoughts on them two?
So I've not watched any game with Rasmus this season, so I'll talk about him after. But I have watched a bit of Harrison recently, and I'll be honest, mate. In the last 3 games I watched him, he was good. He was good. And I mean, there's one edge of his box, he got the ball, and I'm not joking. He absolutely he ran up the pitch in about 5 seconds. He took on 4 defenders. It was an unbelievable run, and he started doing stuff like that. And his touch was good, and his movement was good. And I'm watching it, going, this is the frustrating thing about this player because he can do things like that. He has got that talent in him. He has, and he did it at the start of his Leeds career, like Luke said. But it's the consistency of it. And I think with Harrison, he's a type of player when he's part of a squad, when he's not the main person, he doesn't have to be that guy. He can have that impact. If you need a certain player to do a certain skill or a certain thing, you need someone to bring energy and run with the ball and get up the pitch. He can do that. So I was shocked. Honestly, I was watching it thinking, see what it's like. It was good. And I know I'm not using that as the whole point, but I think he can play a role. I don't know whether that's a huge... I mean, obviously taking the emotion away from it. I think he could play a role. I think he can be useful in this league. I think, look, people talk physicality. I'll be honest, against a lot of these teams, I think he's too quick for some of them defenders. I think he's too quick for them. Because one thing he is good at is running and driving with the ball when he's confident. So for him, I definitely do. I think he could have something in this side. Look, I don't think he will, and I don't think he should because of what happened. But I genuinely think he could have an impact. I do. Whether that's huge or small, I don't know, but that's down to him. But with Rasmus, I've not watched much. I think what we need from a defender at this level, especially from fullbacks in this system, is someone who has attacking output and balance, and he could put in a last-ditch tackle, couldn't he? He could.
He's not a great ball carrier, is he?
Scored some goals.
He's not a great ball carrier, though. I think he's meat
Yeah.
and potatoes, man. I
It
don't
worries
rate
me.
me.
If it's someone like Philogene up against him or someone of that ilk, that worries me massively. But again, if you have him in the squad, if he needs to come in for a few games, is it the end of the world? Do you know what I mean?
Someone
And again,
said
we're
there,
looking-
Vic, like he's better than Shaq. But it's an expensive Shaq to sit on the bench, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Do you know what I
he's
mean?
paying these a lot of wages, aren't you? I guess more than Shaq. I don't know, mate.
I don't know how much better he is than Shaq, though.
If I'm taking
Shaq gives you different
now,
positions as well, right? He's versatile. He can play right wing. He can play
And
right
for
wing.
Rasmus, he can play centre back, centre defensive midfield.
All
Yeah,
right,
but
we
I
know
can
you
play
like
left back
Rasmus.
as well, badly, you know.
Love
But
him.
it's
It's because you
Yeah,
look like him, bro.
That's... But yeah, honestly, mate, if they didn't do what they did, I'd be all over Harrison staying.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I
saying
think
he's
that's
going to
fair.
be the main guy or we need to rely on him, but part of the squad, mate, I would personally. That's just me, though.
For context as well, Johnny makes a great point. Firpo 6
point.
months ago, it's a great point. It is, can't get away from that fact. Because
it is, but you could take it apart as well. Firpo's had an extensive period of games, but in this lead side in the championship, so it's not you're not comparing apples with apples here. You know,
No, but he hadn't.
No, but he hadn't prior to this season, though.
That's exactly my point. In a division higher, he hadn't. But in where all the other players played for Leeds in that division higher, and all went off to play in top 5 leagues in Europe, not in the championship.
Yeah, but prior to the season kicking off, I would have put Firpo in the Rasmus camp in terms of, and he's turned it around. Does that make sense?
The fact that he did, and it's out the fact that he didn't push to move away from the club. That's the only redeeming factor, and that's why Firpo was worth a shot and was worth giving him a second chance and giving him a go at it. And he's turned out to have a fantastic second half of the season. Arguably one of our better players in the second half.
I think best
players,
second half.
Arguably,
Yeah, I do.
So, but the others, I don't think it's comparable just yet. I mean, if you give most of those players 6 months in the championship, they should do well.
Yeah.
But
talk to me about Firpo. About Brendan and Rasmus then
So from the completely take your loyalty hat off for 2 seconds. Right, okay, because I'm torn on this one with Aronson. I did like Brendan Aronson when he first came in, I thought. And one game that I pick out the most is the first half against Crystal Palace away. not the game that went tits up, the first one. And in the first half, Leeds played him on the right wing, and he was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. He bet, and at one stage, I think he went past 4 or 5 players, cut inside and hit the bottom of the far post. Yeah. And then the second half, Jesse stuck him back in the number 10 position. He went out of the game completely. But when I think I put a tweet outside at the time when he went past everyone from the right hand side, I think I put out, "This is what the Medford Messi actually looks like. This is where the name comes from. Has to be." You just see him in the number 10 position. He gets swamped too easily. He gets knocked off the ball too easily. He gets pushed over. The problem I have with Aronson is, and Luke's 100% correct in what he said about him, he just needs a bit more meat on the bones. I've covered them all year with Lone Watch. Someone came to my comment section about 3 months ago and told me, "What's the point of Lone Watch?" every week, and it was like, so we can keep an eye on these players and actually have a conversation at the end of the season as well. So I've been able to see most of their season. And Brendan's had a stinker of the first 3 quarters of the season. He's had an absolute stinker. The final 6 games, he's been very, very good for Union Berlin, and arguably one of the reasons why they managed to stay up. You could also argue it's probably one of the reasons why they were in that position in the first place, because of how bad the first 3 quarters of the season were for him. But he did finish the season really, really strong. There is a very talented footballer in there, I believe. Technically, he's a very good footballer. My issue is self-awareness, because to Luke's point, he needs to bulk up. His first manager he had this season at Union Berlin, said he needs to bulk up. And the chairman said towards the back end of the season, Brendan needs to adapt to the more physical side of the game if he wants to be a success at this level. Aronson's response to this in an interview he did with ESPN over in America was, "I don't see the big deal. It's not the way I play. I'm not that type of player. It's not that big an issue." So there's no self-awareness from the player to realise that a manager and fan base in England told them, "You need to get stronger here." I'm not saying pile on the muscle, but get stronger. And then you go to Germany, another top league, and you're told the exact same thing. But again, your opinion is better than those who are skilled and experienced around you. And that's the problem with me. Brendan needs to put on more muscle. He needs to tone up. He needs to go on the Jack Harrison preseason regime that Harrison went on a couple of years ago and
like
come back with just a couple. And like Cree, yeah.
He got a little bit. Nothing crazy, was it? But you could tell he was a bit more filled out. Yeah.
Just core strength. Core strength is hugely important. Like they always say, it's the most important part of your body in football, because you hold off players. Everything comes from your core of your body. So if you could do that, great. But he won't, and that's the problem, And of the rest of them, I mean, Christensen probably do a decent job at right back in the Championship, and he's played very well for Roma this year when they played him right wing back. Now, they played that system a couple of times this year when De Rossi took over and he put him out there, and he got good feedback. But then when he played right back, there was reports in the Italian media who described him as tactically not good enough, positionally not sound, and makes basic errors. Now, that was the Italian media pulled him apart at times this year about just the basic fundamentals of being a footballer. So there's that. Llorente would have a cracking season in the Championship, but I think he's probably a chance of getting a sneaky few quid on the side that we didn't budget for, because he's got a new contract. From a P&S perspective, he's zero again. So that previous funds that we spent on him are gone. So from a P&S perspective, that's a clean slate. So whatever we sell him for is profit. So you're laughing there if you can get more than 4.5 million for him, which, considering PSG were willing to pay 16 or 18 in January to Roma for him, you might get something for him. If you get 5, 6, 7, 8 million, that's money in the bank. So there could be a couple of smart ones there. Out of all of them coming back, no, I don't think they've done enough. Of the ones that went out, Llorente had a very good first half of the season until Jose left, and then De Rossi didn't like him. Roca had a really good first half of the season, then got pneumonia and has really struggled to come back from that, which is, to be fair, it's tough. If you get a bad bout of pneumonia, that's a tricky one to come back, especially as an elite athlete. But outside of that, none of them have done enough.
Can you say elite athlete really fast again for me?
Elite athlete. Elite athlete. Athlete.
Athlete.
Sorry. Yeah. So I always have an issue with people who say athlete and not athlete. It's usually an American thing, but yeah, athlete. So he's kind of just struggled because of that. Outside of that, he was having a really, really good season. To the point that he bought a house in Betis. Betis really, really wanted him, but they were always banking on a second loan. So were Everton. The money's not there. Look at Everton trying to loan players from anybody right now. That's going to be a shit show next year. So, yeah, I just don't think any rest of them have done enough to be what you'd want to have in the squad. Max Fober's probably the outlier in terms of ability.
But he's
Very
not-
good
he's
centre
got
back.
no
Had a
chance,
very
have
good
you?
season. I think if you want to make some money, he's the one, because we spent 10 on him. They want 17 for him. And they reckon they'll get 17 for him because there is a lot of interest in Germany in the player. That's the one real shining star in terms of making money back. He's had a phenomenal season in a really average Mönchengladbach team. In fact, a Mönchengladbach team that were criticised under Daniel Farke and have finished 6 places lower after replacing Daniel Farke. So that tells you the kind of actually the job that he did there last year. But they haven't had a good season. But he has. He's had a really standout season. They've talked about the qualities that he has that are not in the side when he's not there. So there is plenty of interest in him. And as being said there, Gladbach can't afford him. They can't. They've said it out loud. They can't afford him. Not the money Leeds are willing to pay. They've stopped talking to Leeds because Leeds' last conversation with Leeds wanted 17. They wanted less. Leeds said no. And that's what you're going to get. These players are not out of contract. And if there are no loan release clauses in the remainder of them, and that still for me is yet to be seen, but assuming the information is correct, they have no say in the matter. It's whatever Leeds decide they want to do outside of Harrison and Roca. If Leeds say, no, we're going to hang on to you and we'll put you on the transfer list and we'll wait until the start of the season. But they absolutely, and again, put my emotional hat back on for a second, if that was to happen, they absolutely cannot be allowed back into the dressing room with that current squad to cause problems while they're waiting to be sold. That's if they decide to sell.
100%. Yeah, fair. I'll give my thoughts. Official Zoom says, what if Farke can get the best out of Aronson like he did Dan James? I don't rate Aronson, but he shows he has talent. I think where my head's at, I think Rasmus, I think's garbage. Yeah, okay, he might be serviceable at this level, but like Lockie alluded to, I think our fullbacks, we need them to be... I'm just thinking, like, we need a proper right back. Archie's been amazing there this season, but we need someone who's going to be able to carry the ball, take on, defenders, overlap, get balls into the box.
Specialist,
like Firpo. Yeah, specialist right back.
Positions.
Yeah. You think about Jamal Lewis and Max Aarons when he was at Norwich, right? This is what we need, someone like that. So I just don't think Rasmus has that in his locker. Yes, he can defend. But I just don't know if he's got the attacking qualities as Lockie alluded to. But on Brendan Aronson, and I can't believe I'm going to say this because I coined him the Rizzler paper and all this sort of stuff. But like in terms of his pressing ability and his off the ball stuff, I do think he would work. I do think he would work. If I take the emotion out of it, I do think he would. That's
one of the things. Sorry, just really quickly. That's one of the things that we have missed from anybody who's played 10 this year, whether it be Pirro or whether it be Rutter, is that additional person to press and defend from the front effectively. When Paddy's played, he's done it, but I'm not sure whether that's been instructed by Farke or whether it's something actually Rutter and Pirro just don't want to do. Do you know what I mean?
Like even if like when Rutter was in the 9 initially because he could, He could press more. Even his press was shit. So like Pirro and Rutter together pressing was pretty garbage in my opinion. Whereas Aronson or James, remember James in the 9 under Bielsa? Boy, that lad could press. Do you know what I mean? He could press. He couldn't finish at that time or out, but he could press. And I think Aronson, to be fair to him, gives you that. He gives you what James gives you. If I'm being totally honest, he will run himself into the ground like. The poor lad, I can't believe I'm like calling him a poor lad, but Jesse beasted him as well, right? Jesse did beast him for 38 games, played him every minute. Every man and his dog and everything in between could see he weren't working. He needed a rest, and he just whipped him, man. So I think, I think Aronson probably could do a job, and like. In them tight spaces against players that aren't on his level. As he's not worth 25 million, but players in the Championship. Can you imagine him dancing around some of the centre-backs we've come up against this season? He would have a field day. So if no one's going to pay for him, I probably would. I probably would say, he probably deserves a crack at it. Why not?
Do you guys think, because Farke has mentioned it in his press conference, do you think he'll be willing to give any of them a conversation if it comes to that?
I think he will have a conversation.
If they can improve the team and they're showing the right demeanour and the right attitude, look, they've obviously proven that they didn't have it, but they didn't know Daniel Farke then. You know, they were given an opportunity to go play football elsewhere on 100% of their wages. Look, we've got to look at it, you know, a bit sensibly at some stage. They had no ties to Leeds United. You know, they were promised that their coach was going to be Jesse Marsh forever and ever, and you know, this whole US bollocks that we're trying to go with, and we have got to be a little bit sensible. If they're going to improve our team and improve our chances of promotion, and Daniel Farke is happy with them after having these conversations, look at what Willie Nonto did at the start of last season.
Yeah, exactly.
And also to add on to that, Luke, there was no, like the mess we talked about, like you said, there was no project, was there? There was nothing to really say, come to us because we can give you this. I think now with news that's going on and Parag speaking and the continuity we can take in from getting 90 points, you know, this could be another chance for these guys. You never
Still
know.
only 23 as well, by the way.
22, innit?
Yeah.
23.
23.
I think
23,
they
yeah,
must have just switched 23.
Same
so
age as Somerville. So.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe there is a chance for him. But listen, maybe Leeds will just cut their losses. We'll have to wait and see.
I'll tell you what though, I would rather give somebody like Aronson an opportunity than Jack Harrison.
Yeah.
See, I like Jack still. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it is what it is. Jack's never coming back, is he? Good. I hope he gets relegated with Everton.
Oh, we'll miss out on those two really good parts of the year that he has, the very, very start and the very, very end.
That's fair,
I hope his mum steps on Lego and all.
I was going to say, and his mum. We miss his mum as well. She can stay there.
Right, I did put a poll out. So Aronson Rasmus, 27% say they would keep Aronson. 6% said they would keep Rasmus. 10% said they would keep both, but a massive 58% say get gone for the lot of them. But I think a lot of that will be from emotion, which I understand as well. But like Luke alluded to, listen, I was calling Willie Nonto worse than shit, calling him a rat and everything, which he was at the time. But, you know, he came back, he did well second half of the season, and I thought for a period of time rightly took James's place. Towards the end of the season, maybe it should have been switched back, but that's for another time. It's just on James. Obviously, it was only a throwaway comment from one of the commentators for BBC Radio Leeds when he mentioned, don't be surprised if someone like Southampton came for James. Do you look at that? Are any of you worried that maybe an Ipswich or Leicester were interested in him before he came to Leeds? Leicester, Ipswich, Southampton could have a look at someone like James. He'd be pretty relatively cheap for a Premier League club.
Whether they do or not, I don't think we have any reason we need to sell Dan James.
No, of course not. Yeah,
so
I agree.
I think he's here anyway.
Regardless. He's the epitome of what type of player we're looking for.
Yeah, he is, isn't he?
Yeah. In terms of his commitment to the cause and everything. Look, he's at the start of the season, he was unplayable. He was like the top assister in the league, and look, unfortunately, he had injuries, and he did have a couple of. I think actually he had an injury, and Nonto played himself into form, so it was hard to drop Nonto. Then I think from memory. So yeah, it's one of them with Dan James. He gets it. Do you know what I mean? And I fully expect him to be playing a massive part for us again next season.
100%. Just on a couple more of the loans, obviously, Darko JB played well at Plymouth before his injury. Sam Greenwood started well at Middlesbrough, but then couldn't get in the team towards the end. Do any of the youngsters get given a shot? And I throw into that as well, lads. I'll throw into that Joffy as well. Like these players that were brought in under Bielsa in that era and just haven't really got anywhere close to it. What do you think about their chances going into next year?
I would say you loan them all out in the Championship. Yeah. If it'd gone up, I think there was question marks around selling a couple of them. Unless Creswell and Farke can sort their differences out or whatever happened last year, because he just seems so far away from starting a game or even getting on the pitch at points. I would loan him out immediately, get him a full season. But he's got 4 years left on his deal, plenty of time. You know, he's a centre back. He's got loads of time. Get him out on loan. Get him playing games regularly. Get him out in this division as well. Joffy the same. He needs to go to a club where he can play games on a regular basis, whether that's dropping down to League One or saying the bottom end of the Championship. But he needs to play games.
Go to somewhere like Birmingham, who've just been relegated, to League One or Huddersfield even.
Still a big side in terms of the size of the ground and the fans that they'll have in there. So he still gets experience that and get used to that without having to play at the level.
Do you think JB deserves a shot?
I'm interested in Darko JB because Plymouth played him as a 10 just before he got injured. They moved him into number 10 position, and he had some incredibly good games in that position. Now for Leeds, we'd only seen him playing in the 6, but they pushed him forward into 10. He was very, very good. I didn't get man of the match in two of the games that he played in the number 10. Got an assist in one game when he didn't. He scored, or he just missed it. He
started really well. I know that. Yeah, it was very good.
And then he got injured, and that was the end of the season. So I think, I don't know if he gives him a shot this year, but I wouldn't be against seeing him going out on loan again for a full season in the division. Yeah. Again, keep it, because he's shown he can do in the championship, so why not let him play again another year in the championship?
But we just mentioned, really quickly, Lockie, really quickly. We just mentioned how we didn't have another midfielder on the bench for the final at Wembley.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
there's an argument there to say that we need and he can play the majority of those positions. Looking at his makeup, so I wouldn't be surprised if Farke has a look at him in training. I'm not sure how much longer he's out because he did an ACL, didn't he? So
what about Charlie Crew? Charlie Crew's got to be close. Farke spoke in a press conference. Yeah, Farke spoke in a press conference weeks ago about one player being close but was injured. He was knocking on the door, if you remember, months back.
He's on the bench twice now.
Yeah, and then obviously he gets his full international call up. Do we see Charlie Crew have a breakout season?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think with Darko, for me, I think a full season lower end championship will be good for him. Maybe, I don't know who, like a Blackburn, something like that. I think that'll be good for him. I don't think he's ready yet. A bit of a risk maybe to have him as one of our maybe second or third centre midfielders. So Charlie Crew is interesting though. He's kind of doing the Archie thing where he's just been around the bench, getting integrated with the team. The Wales call-up is great. You know, that's good experience for him. Let's see how I still think from watching him, he's got a lot of growing to do. I still think he's he's young. So he's got that physical side of it. But once he gets that, I think he would be ready for this level when that is, whether that's in 6 months' time, this start of the season or next season. I don't know, but what a player to have at your disposal, honestly. We've got some really good young players, haven't we, at this club?
100%. Really Carl, I don't know where that's come from at all, mate. I don't know where you've
got opposite. The complete opposite.
Yeah.
I don't know where that's come from.
There's been nothing said about negatively about that, Jude.
Not at all.
When there was a scout talking about him when he was at City, and he was one of them guys who would be at training he'd work hard, and after training he'd do his own stuff as well. So I don't know where that's from.
100%. Agent Ancelotti is a big Leeds fan and pretends to be an Everton fan in every single stream that I have. Still spouting the I hope Everton. Don't listen. Yeah, I hope you get relegated. Your time is coming. Like, the funny thing is, when this scaremongering tweet was put out by Kieran Maguire, the amount of Everton fans that were quote tweeting that saying we should sign Gray just was hilarious. Like, you haven't got 2 pennies to rub together, Ancient Ancelotti. So I don't know where this
and when they drop, they will drop as well.
Oh yeah. They will do a Leeds. They will do a Leeds, man. 16 years, Sunderland even as well, who dropped down into League One. That is your future, Agent Ancelotti. And why are you still called Ancelotti? He's in a Champions League final at the weekend, man. Go call yourself Agent Deitch, man. Dickhead Deitch. Call yourself Dickhead Deitch, not Agent Ancelotti, bro.
Dr. Deitch.
Ancelotti saw what was on the wall very early when he got there.
Exactly.
Around too long. I have a mate who's an Everton fan, and he's a good guy, and I wouldn't deliberately go out of my way to bash them. But if I was an Everton fan, I'd be worried. You know, especially 777 partners. You'd possibly dodged a bullet with that. Looking at the corruption charges in Brazil and the other stuff that's going on with them around the world, their clubs they all have money in are struggling financially.
Do you know that they owe money to 777?
They owe shit on the money,
to 777 as well, because they loaned the money.
Having the Brazilian government taking control of the assets until the money is paid or something like that. So they're a problem. So they might have dodged a bullet there. But the guy from Crystal Palace is a minority shareholder of Crystal Palace who's looking at buying the club. That's not oil money. That's not, that's not
rescue money,
changing money. That's just about keeping your head above water.
Ken Bates buying the club for £1 money type thing.
It's some of these same and Simon Jordan said it on TalkSport, and I quite like Simon Jordan. I agreed with him on this completely. Someone's going to steal Everton. They're going to get them for next to nothing because of what's going on. But whether they'll have the funds to put that into the club is another question. All the links I've seen with Everton so far this summer are loan move. There's no money, and you're going into a stadium that you're going to have to pay back money on that you don't own either because you borrowed money to build that as well. So I genuinely, if I was an Everton fan, I wouldn't be flexing. I'd be very worried and keep my head down.
Yeah, exactly. I would as well. Because best believe we will come for you, Mr. Dr. Deitch. I'm telling you, that's what you're called on this channel from now on.
Doctor. Plus, you probably got a Scouse accent, which is the worst one in the UK, man, by far, isn't it?
I'll tell you what, I don't know if any of you watched it, but it was bloody brilliant. The Wayne Rooney 53 questions with Gary Neville. Have you seen that yet? Nah. And
Right.
eh?
Did you get any right?
No, it's just part of the overlap. Because he scored 53 goals, he just asked him questions. But one of them was, "What's the worst accent?" And he says, "I hate the Manc accent." And Gary Neville went, "It's a bit rich coming from you, mate, being a Scouse." It's a great watch, actually. You should give it a listen. But yeah, it's good. I like stuff like that. Right, okay, let's finish up with some... actually, no, before we do that, Rodon. Luke and Lockie were speaking about this prior to the video going live. A lot of loanees have said bye now. We've seen Jadon Anthony today. We've seen Connor Roberts. Still yet to put pen to paper or show pictures or share pictures. Joe Rodon, keeping it quiet. Do we think that's a good sign, lads?
Please be a good sign. Yeah, love him. Love him.
Yeah.
They said don't fall in love with a lone player, but by Jesus, by the end of the season, I was, for me, one of the best signings we made all season, one of our best, most consistent players all year, and gave absolute. Luke's talked about people getting it, gets it. You saw in the final, looking for someone to grab it by the scruff of the neck. He's the one bursting forward. Semi-final against Norwich, he's the one bursting out, going, "Give me the ball, get in my way." Love him. I think if Leeds can get it done early and make that.
What would it cost us?
10-15, I think.
Well, I think they were talking about 12 to 15 in January, weren't they? If we wanted to sign him, and for all we know, a deal might have already been put on the table.
100%.
Back then. But I would imagine that now he's going into I believe the last year of his contract. Surely that's reduced somewhat. I think 8 to 10 we paid that for. We paid less than that for Ampadu, who's a lot younger. So
I agree with Vic on that. I think. Yeah, probably 10. Get in the middle there. There was talk earlier this week that the Leeds and Spurs have already had talks about it. Joe, I heard you saying on one of your streams earlier on today that don't be surprised if an Ipswich or a Leicester have a look at them. And I think you're probably pretty accurate there. Southampton as well. If players move on there, why not? My thing is that he really seemed to enjoy it this year, and he's had a couple of really bad years before this year where it's just not gone perfectly for him. So. And he's talked about Leeds feeling like a second home. I don't think he gambles that for a season that's probably going to be a struggle in the Premier League, and it's not going to show him in the best possible light. If anything, is going to, be a club that's going to struggle. Ipswich, if they've done great to keep holding McKenna, we'll have a crack at it. But I see them as Luton when they get up there, and I reckon like Leicester will have a point deduction. So do you want to get into the middle of that with no money coming in, no players being bought, and I think we have a great chance to keep him as long as we can find the money from somewhere.
100%.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't
from
think
we got money, man. Don't worry about
I think
that.
you mentioned it before, about the. If you look at the Premier League centre backs, he probably doesn't start in most of the teams. Based on he's only really done it in the Championship. And you look at the promoted teams, and they're the ones that you have to look out for me. But after that, I think if they're not really that serious on him, I think we have a huge chance. He's obviously not saying it's good. I don't think he'll go abroad. He's tried that. He was all right. He weren't great. Yeah, surely.
Newcastle had a sniff at him, but they said that they wanted him as a backup, and he's not going to go and play backup.
No, he wants to play.
Why would you do that? You back yourself.
No. I can't see it because Newcastle have what? Sven Botman, they've got Lascelles, all these players that would get in over him. They're trying to get Tosin Adarabioyo over the line as well. So I don't know. I think that's a non-starter for me.
Joe, there's a quick one there popping up.
Ayo Tanaka.
We have not signed Ayo Tanaka. No. We didn't
that
want that
link has come from some random dude, man.
It's from an EFL page in India somewhere apparently. There's no sources linked on it. If you go check it out, it doesn't go very far. You can't follow the thread back to any news outlet that's released it. And don't forget, Leeds could have gone for $2.5 million last year, and Leeds backed out with that deal at the last minute because Leeds didn't think there was enough in the player to get him. I disagreed. I quite like Ayo Tanaka.
Didn't he get injured though straight after he'd signed?
No, that was
Yeah. Oh no,
the
that was
other
the other
Asian
guy.
player that went to
Luton
Luton.
and didn't play any games, and the club absolutely got battered for not signing him, and he barely played at Luton.
Very kicked the ball, yeah.
Yeah.
Played a few games towards the last couple of games, but barely played.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tanaka I thought would be a decent signing, and he's had a pretty decent year behind him as well. But
Yeah, it's been really
I think he's a
good.
free. Might be a free if he hasn't already gone somewhere.
Aye, definitely.
No, sorry, they've just been
Bronson's
promoted.
great.
The team is
I know
that's-
Bronson and Usyk. It's a right shout.
Bronson's great.
What did you say?
I was
Go
just
on.
going to say that the team is that's been promoted to Bundesliga, so
Yeah,
they'll be in the
fair.
Bundesliga next year. So
Oh, there you go. There you go. Maybe if we'd have brought in Ayo Tanaka, we'd have got over the line. Who knows? Who knows? Eh? Lads, let's finish up on some news that hasn't really been confirmed. It started on Wacko, then made its way over to Twitter and Facebook. Leeds United could potentially be set for a new sponsorship as early as this week, or at least in the next few days, perhaps. All the noises leading to Red Bull. Talks of it being one of the biggest EFL sponsorship deals there's ever been. It's going to provide a massive cash injection, maybe some shares going their way as well. But what do you make to this news? Do you believe it? Are you waiting for it to land? Like, what are your thoughts?
For me, it doesn't really make that much difference to us, does it? Who's on the front of the shirt? It's all to do with finances. If it's incoming and it was worth a lot of money, and they don't piss about with the name of the stadium and other things like that, then I'm all for it. Do you know what I mean? But it doesn't really matter who's on the front of the shirt as long as they're paying good wonga to the club.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think naturally everyone starts to worry about the RB stuff, you know, the Red Bull Leeds and all that. And this is the mad thing, like, if we do get a sponsorship over the line, one thing I will say is Red Bull have had a hard-on for Leeds United for the past fucking 10 years, it seems, man. It's every time. They're always there or thereabouts. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just want a route into English football because they've never sponsored anyone in England, have they? I don't think before now.
They can't do it the way they want to. That's the reason. They can't do it the way they want it. They can't change the name of the club. Can't do it in the UK.
These would never have the word red in front of it anyway.
No.
Well, I know a guy, Dennis, he's one of the Nav and Whites, and Dennis wouldn't wear the Leeds shirt when it had 32 red in the front of it, and it wasn't even coloured in red, but it had red written on it, and that was enough for him to go not wearing it. And
that's the real stuff. That should be the real sponsor.
This is your white light in the soft drinks, is it? I saw your
Red
comment,
Thunder.
There's a portion of Leeds fan base who just don't want the word red, and just, if you go to Spurs as well, and you look at them, like there's still a huge amount of Spurs fans that don't like the little bit of red that AI or AA or whatever this AIA have on their sponsorship on their shirt. They don't like that either. So there are sensitivities to it. Like 32 Red, when they got the Leeds sponsorship, made a very clever move, and out straight said it won't be coloured in red. Don't worry, and that got past a few fans, but. The Red Bull thing, I don't see them sponsoring Leeds unless they're going to buy into Leeds. And I don't see them buying into Leeds unless they're going to buy the entirety of Leeds. And I can't see the whole 49ers Enterprises thing going already. That would just throw the club into a whole lot more uncertainty. And also, I'm not 100% sure this is a legit thing even. We'll find out in the morning, I suppose. But if we go down the route of this is real, Red Bull would be a great sponsor to get if it just said Red Bull and nothing else. And it wasn't in red, and there was no options or shares or nothing like that, no interference, because they'll want to get involved. And then who becomes their primary club? Because you've seen the issues with Manchester City and Girona now. They both qualify for Champions League. They both can't play in the same tournament because they're the same owners. They're not allowed to, so they've got to figure that out. Oh, sorry, Manchester United and
Nice.
Who else is it?
Yeah, Nice. Had to sort that out. Girona had to sort stuff out with Manchester City. I think Girona actually missed out in the end, but they would have had to sort that out. So these dual ownerships or these groupings of clubs doesn't work perfectly all the time. So if Red Bull came in, it'd be like, well, then you've got Leipzig, you've got Salzburg, you've got Leeds, and they've never actually followed through on a bid for Leeds. There's been a lot of talk about Red Bull being interested in Leeds since Ken Bates and then Chelino and then GFH, but they've never actually put a bid in for the club. They've never actually tried to formally buy the club.
I think it's gonna happen. Like, I don't know if it'll be in the guise that you think in terms of like, it'll be like them taking a massive chunk or anything like that. But I do think that the 49, even if it is a sponsorship on the shirts, as long as like Luke said, as long as the cash is there and the capital's put in, and it helps us get over these financial constraints that we might have.
I had a bit of a question earlier that I'm sure one of you would be able to answer for me, but would not one of the investors who owns a said company be able to sponsor Leeds and just?
That's how you do it, Luke.
Is it legal? Is it legal?
That's legal.
And I know Derby sold
Yeah.
their stadium and
Ted
everything,
Bowley does
but
that,
surely,
right?
Yeah.
Ted Bowley do that, yeah.
yeah. So, I mean,
There was one of the companies that was on the sleeve of Manchester City shirt. I don't know if it's Nexon that they had this year or previously, but they had their owners had money in them, so that came in through that. Etihad Airways is the national airline of the country who are owned by the club, club owned. So that's the way you do it, and they did it with Qatar. Have done it with PSG. They own them. They put the money in that way. You can only put X amount of your own physical wealth into a club. You're not allowed to put every single penny in and to go crazy. You can only put a certain percentage. You can clear debt, but you can absolutely sponsor your own club and put as much money as you want in that way. Like, here's a $4 billion shirt sponsorship deal.
That was my question, and I think obviously none of the businessmen that are part of none of these investors would want to lose a mega amount of money. But if there was some form of an agreement that said, right, in 4 years' time, if you're back in, or 2 years' time, if you're back in the Premier League, then you pay sort of this much back. Why? You know what I mean?
Lewy's family have Westfield. They either still own Levi's from Levi Stadium is an obvious one. I'm just trying to look through the San Francisco 49ers actual club sponsors this year to see if there's any crossovers there, but it's a bit harder to see.
Just while you do that, obviously this is the Levi's. Here, get Levi's in. Let's get a Levi's shirt, mate. I'll have a bit of that. Yeah. Nice little denim shirt with a massive Leeds badge on back. That's what they do, wouldn't they? Oh yeah, I'm gonna wear that out night out. This is the email. Now, what I will say, like I was shared an email that came from Angus yesterday that obviously I just read, and it was in a similar sort of guise. But this is what's being said anyway. Again, like I think this is true. Listen, it's Red Bull. I think it is Red Bull for anyone. I'm pretty confident based on who mentioned it to me that it is Red Bull. But it said, please keep an eye out for any end of season summary from my team next week. It will recap our season, commercial, sporting and capital raise, and outline our plan for the upcoming season. This includes details about a significant commercial deal that we will announce in the next day or two. I believe it'll be in the morning, folks, which will not only be the largest sponsorship deal in the history of EFL, but also help us build our global sports profile. Additionally, I want to let you all know I sat down with the Leeds reporters this morning to give my thoughts on the playoff final and our season in general, which has obviously gone out today. I also communicated my genuine confidence about our club for this coming season. That interview and stories will go live tomorrow morning UK time. Thank you all again for your support, Parag. And that's the end of that email, the tail end. Don't see the bits before, but that's what's come out. I'm led to believe that it will be in the morning, so we'll wait and see what happens and what that looks like. Well, who knows?
The guy that tweeted that is now saying announcement incoming tomorrow. So
okay.
The only thing is,
Go on, Jay.
No, I was just going to say real quick, and I could be very wrong on this, and I probably am. So just caveat that by saying that I don't know many senior directors in companies who put the word PS into emails, because I work with the company that I work for. If I get an email, if anyone, there's never a section in it where it's like, PS, by the way, it's contained within the body of the email, any information. They don't then put it on as they're writing a letter to a long lost love,
But if you,
I think I'm probably wrong.
No, but I think with that email though as well, Joe, I think it's more a case of a copy and pasted jobby that someone's probably shared rather than the actual body.
P.S. bit was the bit I was like, that seems unusual for someone of that level to put PS on an email that's internal, especially that level of directorship that he's at. It's usually a structured email, but maybe he's less.
Are you calling BS?
No, I'm not calling BS. I'm probably wrong on what I'm saying. I'm just looking at it skeptically, looking at bits of it and going, well, what would I call BS on this if I was going to call it? And the PS is a bit of a strange one for me. And also the lack of detail around when it's probably today or tomorrow. Like, he's going to know exactly when that's going to be announced, because the press team are going to be aware of that. The comments are going to have to go out at a certain time. So unless that was drafted 2 days ago and it just hasn't been finalized and it was today, maybe. But yeah, I don't know.
When I asked the question to someone, and their response was, it has legs / wings. So
Okay.
Red Bull.
Well, that's the Red Bull thing. It's the wings.
I was just
But
going to
Red
say,
Bull
Joe,
don't sponsor any club that they own. That don't sponsor any club that they don't own.
But I think the
I think
49ers aren't going to let them own, are they? I don't think that's going to happen. So
I did a thing at uni this year about Red Bull and what they do, and I'm not going to go into too spoilers, literally 30 seconds. And a lot of what they do is behind the scenes and sports science. They are the leading sports company for developing like new technology to help enhance performance of athletes. So there might be that side of it as well, that they do it, in F1 and extreme sports like snowboarding and all that stuff. So they might be trying to branch out and bring it into that side of it, of football maybe. I'm not sure, but it's interesting. It gives something to talk about, doesn't it?
100%, we will be there. Yeah, okay. So, Joseph, I think I heard this from the same person as John. It feels very legit, given their source. That's what that. Yeah, I think it is. We'll wait and see though. If it isn't tomorrow, then we don't know, do we? It is all guesswork till it's officially announced, really, isn't it?
It might add to why Parag's very relaxed about things and says that there's capital there if this is going to be a major deal.
Yeah.
We've got Adidas for another couple of years. That was extended by a year from a friend of mine. So they've extended the deal. It was supposed to finish next season. They've extended it for another year beyond that.
If you could choose, because people are putting it'd be amazing if we got Levi's. It'd be amazing if we got Pepsi. Luke, if you could choose one brand to adorn the Leeds United shirt, what would you go for?
Durex.
That's brilliant. Lucky.
How can I
help us get to the finish?
How can you follow that? You're just going to have to go...
Red Bull.
Red Bull, you're going Red Bull like that. Do you have any in mind?
Yorkshire take.
Yeah, Yorkshire tea would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, that would be cool. I do rate the Yorkshire tea adverts.
Tell you what, though, if you got a Pepsi though, that's money.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm saying. Yeah,
we can't.
Yeah, you can't. We just can't top Durex, can we? Like someone's just said there, play it safe, Durex.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Play it through the middle.
Put it in the hole.
Around the back.
Put it in that big hole at the end. Brilliant. Yeah, man, that's class. Let's get that in. Indeed. Right, folks, is there anything else anyone would like to discuss? Anything to go through?
I would just like to add really quickly about the closing part of Parag's statement, how well it read and sort of what it meant. And I don't know if everyone's probably seen it, but just the final sentence, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I'm confident of that. We just filled me with so much confidence after the full 22 minute conversation, whatever it was. It was a good ending to a very, very good positive interview.
Especially when he said before that he doesn't mince his words and that he doesn't say things without meaning, that he says things that he means he can follow through on. And then he goes on to say, we'll be a force to reckon with next year. And you're like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I remember as well, Parag's angry because he lost final of the Super Bowl as well, and then the playoff final. That guy's angry.
100%. I believe we're gonna smash the league to smithereens, and that's before any business is done.
I don't think it's going to be as easy as
I'm saying.
Yeah, I think we'll be very, very strong. I think we'll probably be the best side in the league, and I'm banking on that. But I don't think it'll be a cakewalk, because the Championship's just not a cakewalk. It's a pain in the arse of a league. Like look at Leicester when they thought it was a cakewalk, then it just dragged them back to reality pretty quickly. So
it's going to be a cakewalk. Don't worry. It's going to be like Bielsa, 10 points. 10 points. Even that didn't feel like a cakewalk at the time, though, did it?
Not to the very end.
Being honest,
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Vega says stop. I will not stop, man. That's it. Sunday's done now. I'm ready for next season. We're gonna fucking dick it, man. We're gonna dick it, honestly. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's gonna be good. Right.
Just fix the boat up and go again, yeah.
Yeah, man. That's what I'm saying. HMS is back. HMS Pistol League is back. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Listen, we've had some amazing numbers tonight. Loads of support. Loads of great comments and all that sort of stuff. So big up to you all. Thank you. Make sure you check out Luke at Auto Know Better. You check out Jer at Leeds United. The View. No doubt we'll be talking about this sponsorship tomorrow on his news stories. Lockie as well. Go check out Lockie Leeds, putting out some great content of late. So go on over. I want to see him peaking or getting over them 1K views, folks, on each video, please. So make sure you go on over and share some love, because there's some great insight in Lockie's videos as well. So make sure you go show the love.
For everybody, everybody who asks, why did we do that? Or why is Farke doing that? Or why did that player do that? That's why you should watch Lockie's videos, because the detail Lockie goes into to explain why things are happening is incredible. So you definitely. I use even Lockie as my sense check now. If I'm thinking a certain way after a match, I'll go and watch Lockie's breakdown and go, that's okay. I'm all right. Yeah, fair enough.
Well, you mean you don't come to me and Luke for the sense then? Is that what you're telling?
Don't come to me for any sense, man. It's absolutely pointless.
You're my Friday night, Luke. You're my good time Friday night.
Two beers. Red panty night.
Yeah.
Or blue panty, white panties, whatever colour panty.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Funny. Right, we'll leave it there. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening and see you tomorrow at some point. Peace out.